So guys, welcome to my review of the Aprilia Tuono V4 Factory 1100 2022 that I'm sitting on right now. Well, this is not your standard review because usually what we auto journalists do, by the way, I don't like myself to be called like an auto journalist, but more like a rider, a photographer. My name is Sunny, also known as the Motographer, and this is, I think, a good point to start the review of this motorcycle which has wowed me on this ride. I am on a ride from Sydney to Perth and back to Sydney. Right now I am here in a place called Norseman in Western Australia, which is one of the most isolated places that you can get to. And as far as review of any motorcycle is concerned, a distance of 12,000 kilometers is, I think, enough. And right now I am sitting at around 9,500 kilometers of riding this wonderful motorcycle. And I thought that a lot of you might be wanting to buy this and you might be willing to hear what I have to say. So we are in the Stirling Range National Park, one of the most isolated places here in Australia, and I am on a road trip with the Aprilia. I would like to share my 5 topmost things why I love this motorcycle. So number 1 is definitely the engine. What a motor Aprilia has made. The best sounding motor, the most tractable, the most grunty motor I have come across, and the most responsive. It is the most amazing motor engine that I have had the privilege of riding for such a long distance. And let's hear this. This is the stock exhaust. Not only that, it also is very tractable, produces torque just at the right movements. So it feels much faster than its competitors despite having little bit lesser power than them. And I think this is one of the best motors ever made on a motorcycle. Next up is how the whole bike looks. I think it looks fantastic. It has a lot more plastic than the other nakeds in the same category, which means you can go a little bit more faster without facing the headwinds. The RFDS, Royal Force Doctor Service, that is what RFDS stands for. They land planes here in case of a medical emergency, I assume. Thankfully, God forbid, that should never happen to anyone. But this road here is part of the Ayr Highway, and I thought that the next part of my review for the Aprilia Tuono here should happen here. So let's talk about the handling. Although a straight road is not exactly a place to speak about the handling characteristics of a motorcycle because that's purely for the curves. We have done a lot of curves, especially at the start of the ride. The RSV4 frame, when it first came out in 2009, has been carried over till today. It's been 15 years and it still serves a brilliant purpose. And Aprilia has been following the age-old proverb that if it's not broken, don't fix it. This frame really proves that, and it has been serving motorcyclists all over the world in carving canyons and race tracks and stuff like that, and I just love how it actually handles. Absolutely brilliant handling. Despite all the bags, I just love how the bike takes the corners, fast corners, slow corners, U-turn, going in straight, it just goes where I want it to go. The brakes, everything just complement the whole motorcycle. How can we forget the suspension? The factory version has semi-active Olin suspension, which of course work like magic, as we discovered when we were taking corners in the high country where there were bumps, and yet we felt that we were gliding over them. And the non-factory version just has the standard Zax shocks, and which you have to actually manually adjust. But regardless of that, this bike also comes with one more important thing, which is the tire. Here on our ride, we are using Fredestein, which is also our partner for this ride, the Centauro NS tires. And the corners, the straights, it has been taking a lot of confidence. It's got more usable power. When you are exiting a corner, you feel more confident in giving that throttle. Just got the right amount of torque, and the traction control, which is actually adjustable on the fly, basically allows you to change of course how much the rear will be engaging with the traction control. So overall, I think this bike is one of the best handlers out there. Back in the day, the Aprilia was known for their electronic. There is no electronic which is not present on this motorcycle. You also have a lot of connectivity features where you can connect your phone with the motorcycle. I have not used them. It also has something which I have never seen in any other motorcycle, which are paddle shifts to control the traction while you are on the go. The Aprilia Tuono has it. Let me tell you also that the cruise control on this is amazing. It's like a dream come true, especially when you are actually doing a country like Australia. And this is the first motorcycle that has cruise control, because for me at least, that I did Australia on, because I've done Australia already 3 times, and I know the value of the electronics, especially cruise control. We want to take a moment to thank Acer for empowering us with the on-the-go power and portability in the form of Acer Predator and Acer Swift Go 14 AI laptops that we use to edit all our beautiful videos, reels and photos that you see. Alright guys, so this is a good time to tell you about our supporters, especially Castrol Power One, which goes into the Aprilia Tuono here. And Castrol also has partnership in a lot of sports and events with Aprilia worldwide, and they have been a partner for me since almost 20 years, and that's a long time, guys. If the engine is running so fast, so high and so long, and oil is very important. I cannot overstate how important it is, because it's just something which is not seen. A lot of times people ignore, but without oil, which is the lifeblood of a motorcycle, it will not function, it will cease. I have heard so many horror stories. So here's a shout out to Castrol Power One Ultimate full synthetic version 10W40 that I have been using in this very motorcycle for the last 9,000 kilometers. The most important things on a motorcycle is value for money. This bike, even though it is little less powered than its hyper naked competitors, this still has enough power, around 180 horsepower. And what days have come, we are calling 180 horsepower as just enough, that you feel that it is actually faster than most motorcycles which have 30 horsepower more than this. This is because the torque comes way in early, and it's usable, and it feels like you can do much more higher speeds quickly. And talking about top speeds, we have touched around 265 kilometers an hour with all the bags on this bike, but we did that across the Nullarbor plain where there is absolutely no one. So yes, the engine is a beauty. We are here in Silverton where the Mad Max 2 movie was shot. This whole area was used to film the movie. This is the Mad Max 2 museum, which is closed right now, but you still get the vibes. Might give you hints of that the movie was shot here, and there were a lot of course, movie related props. The bike does get hot at times in traffic only, otherwise it's not much of a problem. And there is one very unique problem it also has. I looked up on the internet that sometimes it gives you urgent service warning or an alarm, which basically tells you to go and get the bike serviced immediately because there is something wrong with the bike. But I looked it up. It's sometimes when you accelerate it really hard, it's something to do with the exhaust valve. It is easily fixable, but other than that, I really don't find anything wrong with the Tuono V4 1100, and they can actually increase the power if they want. They can make it 200 horsepower, but I think that will be little lesser fun and little lesser torque at the right time, where right now you have the torque immediately, almost right from the word go, and that is what makes this engine and this bike really fun.
As the name means, tornado, it is the feeling that you get every time you twist the throttle, and that has been the same experience with me, and I've got an opportunity to ride it. The first thing, when we actually got it from the showroom itself, I have done the run-in, the first 1,000 kilometers on this, and then after that, man, how shall I tell you, I have done an iron butt on this beautiful machine. The grunt that you get with every throttle, it shudders not only the bike but the soul inside you. A lot of things are good about this bike, about the experience that I had, the upright seating, the power delivery, the braking. I really enjoyed the braking of this bike. It is just like on command. Like you look right, it goes right. You look left, it goes left. Once it is there on the road, once it is rolling, it is butter smooth.
This is an extremely important and spiritual place. This behind me is a great Australian bight, and this is basically a huge part of land which stretches for hundreds of kilometers. When you cross the Nullarbor Plains, meters today we'll hit on this motorcycle, around 3,000 more to go. The bike has performed extremely well. It just gives you more sense of control being one with the bike, and it just feels more compatible, you know. And it's not only me who feels this, especially after thousands of kilometers in just 20 odd days. It's a lot of people who have been owning this motorcycle, and the formula that Aprilia actually hit with this, with the engine, with the chassis that is derived from the RSV4, with the right suite of electronics, everything, it's just so perfect that even Aprilia doesn't know what to do to make it better. But there you go. If you want a motorcycle that is not that expensive and yet it is at the top of the food chain, you can go for the Aprilia Tuono V4. But if you are that guy who wants to brag that he's got the most expensive, most powerful motorcycle out there, for sure there are other options. But let me tell you, this beautiful bike right here, everyone must test ride at least once.